Hey, everybody, welcome back to Podcast Coaching for Kingdom Entrepreneurs. I am your podcast coach, and I have an expert here today that it might sound familiar, her voice, because she was on our show 2 years ago. That is crazy to me how much time flies.
Right.
Amber Wyrek, thank you so much for being here today and bringing your social media expertise here for us podcasters to learn. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. I didn't realize that it was 2 years. That's crazy. It does
I
fly. It goes
I
fast.
know. I know, right? And I'm sure like so many things change. And so that's why I have you back here because you gave us so many great tips on Pinterest specifically back in the day. And I would love to get an update on Pinterest. But before we do, I want to make sure that I let you guys know as listeners that Amber is going to be our pod class trainer this month inside of the podcast membership. And if you have been on the fence about joining, you're like, I don't know if this is for me, or you have had that like back and forth of, uh, man, I don't know whether I want to invest in social media. Is this for me and my podcast? Now would be the time to join because April 17th, Amber is going to be leading us through some personalized media strategy for us as podcasters. So you won't want to miss that. And not only if you join the membership, do you get your pod class with Amber, you get all of the pod classes that we've had before with previous guests, including her on specifically Pinterest. And you get 2 hours of podcast coaching with me and with a community of podcasters that are like-minded, kingdom-minded lovers of Jesus who are pursuing kingdom impact with their podcast and their businesses. So if you're curious about it, sign up for a free 15-minute chat with me, and I would love to just help you out in getting that in your world because everybody needs a community as a podcaster. Um, Okay, so let's jump right into that question. So,
Yeah.
back on episode 73, we talked a lot about Pinterest, and I would love to know if there's anything new or updated in the last couple of years that you've seen change or shift with Pinterest specifically.
I think more than ever, video content is really just it's moving across all platforms. So, obviously we saw video become really prevalent on TikTok. And then
Hmm.
as it started to move into Instagram and Facebook, it's just become more and more common to see video content on all platforms. So and we're talking about that short form video, like a reel or YouTube Shorts, that kind of thing. So
Hmm.
the really cool part is that if you're already creating content on another platform, it's super easy to utilize that on Pinterest and to put it out there. But your audience is consuming video at just a higher rate than static images. So if you're
Mm.
able on Pinterest to take advantage of the short form video platform, I recommend that greatly. As podcasters, a lot of times you already have video content that you're able to
Hmm.
use. So it's not even about creating brand new content. It's about making sure that you're getting it on all the platforms where your audience is. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit about which platform is the right one for
Yeah.
you. So Pinterest may or may not be the right platform for you, but if you
Hmm.
are on Pinterest, definitely taking advantage of video content. And then the other is just leaning into really search friendly, user friendly keywords. So really
Mm.
thinking about what are the things that my target audience is searching for? What are their pain points? What are the things that would bring them to this platform? And then how do I make sure that my video content, my descriptions, all of those are using those keywords so that I'm searchable to my audience?
Mm. Yeah, so good. And such a good reminder. Pinterest, I feel like, is like, for me, is the forgotten social media.
It
It's like,
is.
I even know how good of a search engine it is. And I'm still like, oh, yeah, I forgot about Pinterest. That's
Yes.
great. And I love that you said just repurpose what you already
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
And
Don't
uh,
recreate the wheel. It's so much work. Don't do
oh,
that.
yeah. Yes, good tip. We're big fans of just repurposing. So, um, okay, so with Pinterest, is there a time limit, as far as, like, YouTube just increased their time, and so did Instagram, just by a little smidge.
Yes.
So is it the same within Pinterest as well?
You know what? I have not noticed if they've increased that time or not, so I'm not positive on that.
Okay.
But yeah, I would say still, and even if they have increased the time, I always recommend keeping them as short and kind of straightforward and to the point as possible. Um, we know this, attention spans can be
Right.
hard. And when people are scrolling and trying to find something, what you're really wanting to do is capture their attention in that first couple of seconds. And
Mhm.
so while I think it's great if you can hold someone's attention and they want to listen to your full 3-minute video, that's amazing. But most of the time, they're going to decide if you have what they need in the first 2 to 7 seconds. And
Phew.
so, really think about what am I doing to hook them, to capture them in the first few seconds, and then maybe they'll hang out and get more information. But if you only have that short period of time, take advantage of that. So even though some of
Yeah.
these platforms are going to longer video times that they're allowing, you still have to think of it the same way. How do I hook them in the first couple of seconds?
Yes. Yeah. That's good advice on anything. I think
Yeah.
with just I mean, this day and age, we have to have something, and we all do. Within your episode, you already have stuff that is like, "Oh, wait, what are you gonna say to the rest of that comment or question?" And so, yeah, again, repurposing and finding that little nugget that's like a scroll stopper,
Yep.
within there.
Absolutely.
So, Amber, with you own a whole social media company, like you help people all the time with posting, creating content, taking that off of their hands. So you know firsthand, like what is working for podcasters, what is
Yes.
working for entrepreneurs, and so how do we discover, if we are a DIYer and we are the ones that are doing the content strategy? How do we figure out where is the best um, time and energy that we spend, like which platform to use, and how do we go about doing that? Finding out which platform to use.
I think the biggest thing is going back to who your audience is. So, if you are targeting a more youthful audience where maybe your podcast is all about reaching the high schooler, the college student, the young adult, you're going to want to think about being on a platform like TikTok or
Hmm.
at the very minimum Instagram. If your target audience is maybe a little bit older and they're looking for more of a community, maybe a Facebook is going to be the better platform. So if you're needing to only really concentrate on one or two platforms, the best thing you can do is ask yourself, who is my audience and where is my audience hanging out? If you're
Mm,
showing up consistently on one platform but your audience is on a completely different platform, it's ships passing in the night. It's not
mm,
helpful. And so the biggest thing you need to do is really be strategic about where is my audience hanging out and how do I show up on that platform for them?
okay. Yeah, that's good. Always bringing it back to your listeners of,
Yes.
where are they hanging out, and go meet them. It's like you're going to a different restaurant
Yeah.
completely when they're all hanging out at the coffee shop. And, yeah, that's good. And even just point blank asking, like, find somebody who is an avid listener, and it just being like, "Hey, where do you spend your most of your time if you choose social media?"
Mhm.
Um, and you might be surprised. It might be TikTok, and they're a
Right.
40-year-old woman.
Yeah.
Be
And
like,
I mean,
"Okay."
there's a whole, yeah. And I have actually a couple of clients who are really finding that their best audience is on LinkedIn right now. And they're really leaning into the community there. One, they're actually loving it because they're finding their best client in that space, number one.
Yeah.
And number two, they're able to share their content in a way that feels more genuine to who they are. They are more in that like corporate business professional world. And so being on Instagram and creating trending reels doesn't feel authentic and genuine to them. But being on LinkedIn and sharing insights and business knowledge and expertise totally is up their alley. So I
Mhm.
think even just thinking about where is my best client? Where's my best audience? It doesn't mean that you wouldn't find people who would love to listen to your podcasts elsewhere, but who am I
Mhm.
actually trying to help, to speak to, and to engage with?
Yeah. Yeah. So good. Yeah, and LinkedIn is definitely one of those that, if you are, like Amber said, is if you're speaking to that audience that is at work
Mhm.
most of the day. I mean, you may not be talking about corporate stuff, but if your people are corporate and they're on LinkedIn, then that's a huge opportunity for you to go over and just pour into them while they're at work,
Yes.
and serve them well. So, okay, so I love that you brought up LinkedIn because it kind of it weaves into this other question that I know that I have and my podcasters have is how do we show up in each of these platforms? So let's take LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. So
Yes.
how would we best show up as podcasters in each of those?
So I think the first and foremost is being consistent. So I when I've worked in the past with podcasters or bloggers, people who are creating regular content and putting that out there, the first thing I say is we need to create a calendar and a plan around how we're going to promote and put out your information. If
Mhm.
you're releasing a podcast every single week, there needs to be like kind of a routine and rotation around how you're talking about it, how you're sharing it, how you're following up about it. And that's across all platforms. That doesn't have to
Mhm.
be just on one or the other, because consistency is one of the best things that you can do for your clients, for your audience, for your customer, whoever you're trying to reach. Being consistent, them knowing what to expect from you is really important. It
Mm.
also helps if they show up on your page, they see something and they go to your account and they see that you are consistently showing up. That makes someone want to follow you a lot more than if the last post you had was from 2 years ago.
Right.
So
Yeah.
just being consistent. Now, every single person, they're consistent. What consistent looks like is different for them. Some people have the capacity and the space and the want to show up every single day or multiple times a day. And
Mhm.
other people are like, I'm going to put out 2 posts a week. And that is great. I
Mhm.
always tell folks it's better to start out and maybe layer more in as you feel more confident with it than
Yes.
to come out of the gate really strong and then suddenly you're thinking, I can't keep up with this. I can't do it. So
Yeah.
that the best thing you can do is create a consistent plan that works for you and who you are and what you know about yourself.
That's good.
Now, as
Yeah.
far as showing up on those different platforms, they are a little bit different. And so my experience in working with a client who is posting very similar content, let's say they're posting on Facebook and Instagram, so they're posting to Meta, and then they're also posting very similar content to LinkedIn. The language that we use in the copy and in the way we speak to the audience is slightly different.
Mhm.
She understands that most of her best clients, her target audience is that aspiring seven-figure person. So she knows that her
Mhm.
best audience is probably hanging out on LinkedIn. But the best way for people to kind of find her initially is through Meta a lot of the times. That's where people are
Mhm.
scrolling and hanging out, kind of mindlessly watching content, right?
Yeah.
So she has two different ways of speaking. On LinkedIn, her language and her copy is much more direct to the point. She knows that most of those folks, if they're on LinkedIn, maybe they're on their lunch break, they have a short amount of time, and she gets right to the point and right to the call to action. On Meta, it's a little bit more relational. It's a little bit more
Mhm.
of a slow burn, right?
Mhm.
She maybe, ask questions or does polls or has a way to engage them in that way before she even gets to the, hey, why don't we hop on a call and chat about this, right?
Yeah.
So the language is different because she knows that the audience is different on the two
Mhm.
different platforms.
Okay.
TikTok is a whole other It's a whole other world, right? They talk about how you get on a certain side of TikTok, and I think that that's really true. So I think the best thing you can do there is be very true to who you are. If your content, let's say you are on a topic on parenting, the content that you want to put out and the people you follow and the way you engage on TikTok needs to align with that focus, because
Mhm.
otherwise it can be a little bit all over the place and people won't necessarily find you. So if
Hmm.
I'm on TikTok and I'm watching videos on parenting and I'm obviously trying to learn more about what it looks like to be a good parent, the algorithm is going, oh, we need to put more of these types of videos in front of her. And that's how I'm going to find you as a podcaster on
Interesting.
parenting. So
Okay.
being super um, focused on what your topic is on TikTok is going to help you.
Wow. Yeah, that totally makes sense as you are explaining how the algorithm shows more of that specific topic. Yeah, that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so how about Instagram?
Instagram, oh man. So it's
Mm.
always funny. I laugh and say I am a social media strategist and digital marketer. I help so many brands show up on social media, and I will be really honest, I don't necessarily personally love social media. There are times when I'm like, okay, the trending reels, the lip
Mhm.
syncing, some of those kinds of things. The best thing you can do on Instagram is to show your face. People want to see you. And I know that that is
Okay.
something that can be a struggle. Which is funny because, a podcaster often has no problem sharing their voice, right?
Yeah.
They show up on a regular basis and they share their expertise and they share it through their spoken word. But showing up and trying to make a trending reel and putting your face out there can feel really
It's
intimidating.
tough.
It is.
It
And so
is.
I always say, obviously you have to be authentic to who you are. If
Mhm.
doing a silly lip sync is not you, that's okay. But
Mhm.
showing up and showing your face, it's the equivalent, and I've said this for years. I might have even said it on the last episode I was on. It's the equivalent of making eye contact with someone when you're
Mm.
speaking to them. So sharing your face helps people learn about you. It builds that know like trust factor. So the best thing you can do on Instagram is to be present with
Yeah.
your likeness, with your face, with video
Yes.
or with still images.
Okay. Okay. Let's talk about the original
Yes.
Facebook.
Good old
Where
Facebook.
yes. How do we show up well there?
Yeah, I actually think I saw earlier this week you asked a question about Facebook groups, right?
Mhm.
And are they there? Are they dead? Is it still
Mhm.
something that is active? One of the best things I do think about Facebook and why I love Facebook is the community that you can build on
Mhm.
Facebook. It is much easier to do that. And maybe I shouldn't say it's easier. It just seems like it's more of the audience that you have there. They're
Yeah.
looking for connection. And you asked about Facebook groups, and I thought about it. There are Facebook groups I'm a part of that I barely ever really engage with, right?
Mhm.
But there are other Facebook groups that I absolutely love, not only going there to connect with people, but also providing connection when someone is seeking it.
Yeah.
One of them that I love, and it's so funny, the name of it, it's Bad Moms of Joco. So I live in Johnson County in Kansas. And, that movie came out many years ago about bad
Yes.
moms, and they created it essentially saying, like, there are no bad moms. Like, we're all doing our very best, right? And
Mhm.
it is a very, very large group, and I love it. Now, it's not every single post in there that I love, but I love it because people will from saying, "Hey, I'm in search of a babysitter. I have no babies, no connections here,"
Mhm.
to people saying, "What are you guys doing this weekend with your kids to get them out of the house?" Like there's such a
Oh.
variety and such a diversity in that group, and it's one of my very favorite groups to connect with. My kids will tease, I'll say something, and like for instance, when this weather was horrible and we were going to be out of school, or we thought we might be out of school, and my kids were like, "What's your mom group saying, Mom?" Like that they
They
had
even
the
know.
inside knowledge on it, and I was
Yes.
like, "Well, some of them are saying that they think we'll be out these days." It was really funny because they even know that it's like
Yes.
this, hive of moms that
Uh-huh.
I'm connected to. So I think that
Good.
on Facebook, it's not community is not dead. I think that's why people show up there, but people are busy. So
Mhm.
you have to create, if you're wanting to do some kind of Facebook group and do more than just sharing information, you're wanting to connect with your audience, you have to create something worth them coming back for.
Okay.
Creating something that is extra, that is beyond just what they can get through your podcast. It's a lifeline to you. So
Mhm.
really think about what can I bring to the table that is that extra element to
Yeah.
give my audience access to who I am and to that extra level of care, of information, of expertise.
Yeah. So good. Yeah, I 100% agree that Facebook is a place that you can develop a good community. And partially why I threw that question out was because of my amazing guest for podcast in March
Mhm.
is talking about Facebook group strategy. And I was thinking about how, like, gosh, is it dead? Is it? And then I was like, oh, that's a good question to ask and throw out there. And I love that, like, people that I haven't heard from in years, like even my brother who like doesn't respond to most of my podcast posts, he responded back and was like, "No, they're totally alive." And I was like, "Oh, I got you to talk."
Yes.
Yes, I
I
did.
just joined a new group this week, actually. So I started reading the book Let Them by Mel Robbins,
Uh-huh.
and I'm really enjoying it. But I was finding myself kind of in that place of, okay, I need to talk about this. Like
Mm,
I'm, I'm the only people I was talking to about it were my teenage daughters, and they were like, "Mom, if I have to hear you talk about Let Them one more time, I'm gonna go crazy." And
yeah.
so about that time, I saw someone who's just a kind of I'm loosely acquainted with, they posted about how they were reading it and they're like, I'm going to start a book group on Facebook. And if anyone wants to join it, and now suddenly there's all of these women joining this group from all over that aren't,
Wow.
however many degrees of separation they are from that initial person who started it. And now they're, hey, I just read this part. This really spoke to me. Oh man, what do you guys think about this? Like, I'm struggling with this concept. It's
Wow.
been so cool, and it's connecting people who never would have been connected otherwise. And I think that's the beauty of
Mhm.
Facebook in general, is that unlike Instagram, which, let's face it, Instagram was created to, I mean, it says Insta. It was supposed to literally, you were supposed to post it and then like kind of just put it up there and leave it, right?
Yeah.
It
Mhm.
wasn't created for community the way that was. And so I think there's a lot of value in it. And even though it is kind of the like social media dinosaur that
Yeah.
people laugh about, it still has so much value.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, that's a powerful story and so true. I'm gonna have to tell my friend who just read it too, and she was like, "I wish I could talk to somebody about it."
I'll send you the link for it. It's
Please
so
do.
fun being in there. I'm actually listening to the audiobook, so I was a little
Yep.
at first there's all these ladies, they're reading it from the physical book, and finally there's a few that have popped in their audiobook listeners. I was like, "Thank you." I felt
Yay.
so I felt like
Well,
I
she
was
was audio, so
Yes, I loved it. It's actually, sorry, I'm totally giving like an advertisement for this book, but Mel herself narrates it, and
Oh,
it's
good.
really cool, like getting to hear her share the stories. So yeah, it's a great
Yes.
book.
I love it when the authors actually read their book because
Yes,
then it's their tone and
yes.
inflection
Yeah,
and
it's like
yeah.
you're sitting across a cup of coffee with her. I love it. So
That's so great. So great. Okay, well, there you
yeah,
go, friends. There's a new a
yeah.
new book
If you
for
need a
you.
new book.
It's in my list too. One day I'm gonna be able to listen to it,
Yeah.
or choose to have time to listen to it. Um, okay, so let's dig into a little bit of nitty gritty, and I think this is an important question because when you come into the pod class with our podcasters, this is where your hands-on training and workshopping is so valuable. Like most podcasts, we get all of the information. We're like, yeah, I should do that. I should post on LinkedIn. I should. And then it just gets like lower and lower on the to-do
Yeah.
list. And so I love the intentionality of the pod class. And um, so as you guys are listening through this question as a podcaster, I want you to really think about, should I join for this pod class and actually do the work? I literally am a podcast coach, and I do not make time to sit down and create a calendar of social media. So I will admit that, and I know how valuable it is to just set aside 60 to 90 minutes to work on something like this so that the energy is not wasted on like, oh man, I should probably post something about my episode that just came out. I should. Like this should. It
Yes.
just is such an
So
energy drainer.
easy. Yes.
Um, so here's my last question, which is, as a podcaster, say you're a weekly podcaster, what is the strategy behind there that you're seeing working? Like, is it, um, do I promote it pre-release day, post-release day? What's the rhythm there that you have with most of your clients that you see working?
So I typically say best case scenario, around every single episode, there would be 4 posts.
Okay.
One would be, and I'm going to actually just start, like, let's say the day or two before your post, you should do kind of a sneak peek, a teaser. It could be an audio, video clip. It could be just a static post that has maybe a quote on it. But obviously, you're at that point, your episode is completed, it's ready and loaded, so you know what is inside of it, and essentially you're giving them a little sneak peek to pique the interest, to get them
Mhm.
interested in it. That is the day or two before. On your release date, you should always promote your blog, your podcast, whichever one you're doing. You should
Yeah.
always promote that it has been released. First of all, you've worked hard on it, and you should give yourself kudos and view it in a way of not, oh, I have to do this or I should do this, but I've
Mhm.
worked really hard on this and I want to share it with people. I want them to know that I've put this out there into the world. So on your release date, you should always have something go out. It could be a story, it could be a static post. It doesn't have to be the same thing each time, but there should always be something that goes out.
Okay.
The third post can come up to a week later. Now, if you're releasing monthly podcasts, that's different than if you're releasing weekly. So this rhythm will be kind of commingled, like it'll be on top of each other. You'd
Mhm.
have to kind of figure out what that rhythm feels like so that you were talking about a new episode coming out while you're also still pointing people to the old episode.
Yeah.
But that follow-up post, I always say, it should be more of an engagement. So it's almost like you're making the assumption that they've already listened to it, right? And
Mm.
so maybe it's a follow-up question, or it's if there was some kind of call to action or something that you were giving them some information to digest, there's an opportunity on your social media to now create a platform for them to share that.
Mhm.
This can be also where someone reads it, they see, oh, they were talking about this. Oh, there's something really valuable inside of that episode. I should go listen to it.
Mhm.
But the tone is the assumption that they've already listened to the episode and they're already putting them into action, whatever you shared with them.
Yeah.
Finally, the fourth post, I would say, is always keeping your audience in mind, asking them what they want to hear more of. So
Okay.
maybe I'm getting ready to record an episode. Do you want me to talk about this or do you want me to talk about this? Kind of
That's
giving them
good.
this like buy-in for your
Mhm.
show and for the next episode that's coming out. Again, most podcasters are recording multiple weeks in advance. So it may
Yeah.
not actually air for a while, but it's again giving your audience this idea in the sense that they're on this journey with you. They're a part of it.
Mhm.
And again, that's just creating that community that even if you're not on Facebook and you're on a different platform, you can still create that sense of community for yourself. So
Yeah.
that's those are the 4 posts kind of surrounding each episode that I would recommend. If someone says, oh my gosh, I'm releasing weekly episodes, there's no way I could do 4 posts for every episode. My biggest recommendation would be to do your release date and to do that follow up. Again,
Okay.
you're highlighting what's coming out, and then you're following up, giving them an opportunity to engage about the episode. Those are the
Okay.
2 highest priorities, but if you can do the other 2, that would be my recommendation.
Okay. Here's like a sub question
Yeah.
to the last question, which I know is there's some debate here is how to best link to your episode. So do you recommend like in Instagram stories having a link or on your post say link in bio or like I know Facebook is really funny with sharing if you post an outside link. What are your thoughts there as far as like sending them?
So if the platform allows you to have a live hyperlink, I always try to share that. On Facebook, it's best if you share it in a comment
Okay.
instead of on the post itself. And so you can even say, link is shared in the comments and you can then share it that way. LinkedIn, I've been sharing those directly and I'm not seeing any negative repercussions or anything
Okay.
happening there. So they don't seem to be as uptight about that. But
Mhm.
it makes sense because LinkedIn, a lot of articles are shared, a lot of things are shared externally. It's kind of one of the kind of foundations of their platform. So I'm not
Yeah,
surprised
that's
that that
cool.
doesn't seem to bother them. Instagram is the one that always throws people off because
Mhm.
you can't put a live link in the caption, and they even sometimes get uptight, I've heard, algorithm can be weird about trying to send
Mhm.
people outside of the saying link in bio and that kind of thing. So my recommendation is always on Instagram. Once you've that post has gone live, share it to your stories, and then every time you're in the store, honestly, anytime you're storying at all, you should always have some kind of way for people to engage with it, whether it's a question or it's a poll,
Mm.
some kind of sticker that allows you to have an engagement element. So yes,
Okay.
always add that link inside of the stories. Um, if people know, if they're following you and they know your show, they know your like how to get to you, probably already have you as a downloaded one. Um,
Mhm.
that one, obviously they already know how to find you. The biggest thing you can do is say where you're found and what your show title is. So always, always,
Got
always
it.
make sure to add the name of the show, the name of the podcast. Don't make any assumptions that people already
Mhm.
know that.
Oh, that's good. That's a great reminder right there is remind them the title of your podcast and the title of your episode.
Yes.
Yeah, that is frustrating. I just had a podcast where they were mentioning what they were talking about, and then the title was way different than what the topic was, and I was so confused on which episode it was, and so it's such a good reminder to all of us podcasters
Mhm.
is to keep it simple,
Yep.
and you can be creative in your post or your story outside of your links or where you're pointing to them to.
Yes.
Amber, this is amazing. I feel
Good.
like it was so helpful, just tangible tools. And I'm so looking forward to you coming inside of our pod class and teaching us more directly and more specifically to each of us podcasters. And yeah, so where can people connect with you? And
Yeah.
maybe they're like, you know what? I don't want to do any of it. I would just rather hand it off. How do
Listen,
they connect with you?
I there's a lot of folks that will try the DIY for a while and then they're like,
Hmm.
"Okay, this is not working." And I totally understand. So
Yeah.
yeah, you guys can find me at sociallyinspiredmanagement.com. That's my website. You can also, I love connecting with people myself. So Amber Wyrock on Instagram, on Facebook. I have a business page, but truthfully, most people that I end up working with as clients, they become friends. And so
Yep.
I would love to connect with you. And honestly, I even have people who will just send me messages and ask, hey, would you do this? Would you invest in premium LinkedIn? That's the newest question that I've
Oh,
gotten
yeah.
all the time. I'm like, tell me why you're wanting it so we can see if
Yes.
it's actually worth it for you. So I would love to connect with you on that personal level or on a business level and just learn more about you and your show.
Awesome. Thank you so much for all you do and again being available to answer some questions and also again, like I said, April 17th. That's
Yes.
right. Yes.
Yes. I'm super
Y
excited. I think, I'm assuming
Yes.
I should it's in my
That's what I have
calendar.
written down. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm excited for the deep dive, and you guys, I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. I'm confident that it is helpful as a podcaster to hear where Amber has seen growth and shifts and how we can best connect with our audience, which is what we all want,
Mhm.
is to reach the people that we're called to reach. So thank you again. And you guys, happy podcasting. See you next time.